Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Moletrap here, coming at you with another StarCraft commentary. This is going to be a lovely match between these two gentlemen that we see on the map right now. On the map Arizona, I guess is the map name. Unless this is being played in Arizona. Players have taken a break from being in Korea to come all the way to Arizona to play. No, that's not what's happening. In any case, I'm looking forward to this match. This is actually a kind of a cool match to have. It's just kind of the next one in the MSL series that I wanted to pull up, but it's actually kind of a cool little addendum to the OSL that we just did because, and thank you all for those of you that showed up to the OSL finals, the FOSL finals that we did, and those of you that watched the VODs, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. And by the way, leave me a comment, or I mean, if you want, you can send me an email, I guess. Let me know what you think I should be doing next. I mentioned this at the end of the previous VOD, but you know, it's a 3.5 hour VOD, so I don't know if everyone watched the end of it. But let me know if you think that, you know, we should do another OSL all the way through. Maybe do another live finals, or should I just, you know, reserve the live events for other kinds of show matches, or should I do an earlier OSL? Should I do a later OSL? I really only have a way to get whole OSLs easily, so that's why I'm like focusing on the OSLs. We could try an MSL as well. I think some of them are on YouTube, so I'd have to rip it off YouTube basically. But in any case, I have these VODs from an old torrent that I downloaded. That was the MSL Top 100, except I only have 30 of them. I'm down to 5 left. So I'm running out of MSL VODs. So anyways, and I can also, instead of doing an OSL, I could just cherry pick games as well and just pick games which I think are going to be good. Find interesting games that people recommend or that are on recommended threads or just ones that I've heard about. So, you know, I think I tend to see more views on the non-OSL games. So I don't know if that means that people like those more. Anyway, but let's go ahead and get into this game here. Jeju versus Kingdom. Like I said, it's a little bit of an addendum to the previous OSL because both these players were in the round of 16 of the previous OSL. Both of them were knocked out in the group stages, but these still are two very, very solid players able to get into the OSL round of 16. And this is being played basically like shortly after, about a month after the OSL finals. So this is in the same period as well. So anyway, we got Jeju is the Zerg player, by the way, in the top left, and Kingdom is the Protoss player in the bottom left, if you didn't know who they were. And this is really interesting. We've got a really, really quick +1 weapons going on. He's got the Forge down, and he's made gotten gas just in order to get that quick +1 weapons. This is something that we saw from Reach, I think. I think we saw Reach do this in one of his games as well. And so this is interesting. This is kind of a thing at the time. I'm curious why. I'm actually a little curious why people don't do that these days in 2020. And he's putting down a cannon here. These Zerglings are going to get in right about the same time that the cannon finishes. So these are some pretty quick Zerglings, but they're not going to do too much damage. Actually, they get in right before the cannon, and he's going to bring probes off the line to protect that cannon. And so yeah, it looks like I was actually right that no damage was done, even though those Zerglings did actually have an opportunity to possibly take down that cannon. I think he was maybe afraid of losing them and wanted to just make sure he applied pressure instead, putting down 2 gateways as a follow-up to that cannon, by the way. So that's kind of interesting that he's going very aggressive here. We do have the hatchery going down for Jeju, so he's going to be transitioning out of these lings into probably droning up right now. I don't think he's creating more lings. He is getting gas, though. He is getting gas. And a 3rd gateway going down for Kingdom, actually. That is really interesting. So, wow. So, Kingdom actually, I mean, makes sense with this +1 weapons that he's getting. It's kind of like a late 2-gate. But, you know, with 2-gate, you don't have a lot of probes. So, you know, you can only support 2 gateways worth of units in the early game. But it's kind of like he's getting more probes and getting the gas for the +1 weapons. So, it's kind of like a 2-gate plus, I guess you could call it, because it's going to be stronger in a 2-gate in a couple different ways, but obviously slower than a 2-gate. So will Jeju actually spot this? He had his Overlord kind of south below that base, but I don't think he's actually seen that 3rd gateway. The Zerglings kind of ran out onto the map, and so he doesn't actually necessarily know what's going on here. So he's going to have to try and figure it out. And actually, so that's interesting. So we just saw that drone there. This is, I've already forgotten the name of the map. Oh, wait, Arizona, I think, right? Or something. But I recognize this map as being one where there's kind of like these extra bases that are behind mineral lines, and you have to glitch things through in order to get to the other side. And I'm curious how he did that with just a single drone. I wonder if did he make like an extractor and then cancel the extractor and get the drone through that way? Is that how that happened? Well, that drone was about to make something. Oh, I guess he didn't cancel it. Maybe he moved it before it created. Made a group call in a different spot. There's the +1 weapons right now. It has finished, and some zealots are moving across the map. Jeju is responding to this with urgency, getting down several sunken colonies in preparation for these zealots to come in here. Sunken colonies are necessary because with the +1 weapons, those zerglings are basically worthless against these zealots. He's going to run in there, he's going to see the 3 sunks, and he's going to go right back out again. Because, you know what? That's damage done already. Getting 4 sunken colonies out of a Zerg player is 4 drones that they lost. Basically, it's kind of like killing 4 drones, right? And then it's the extra cost of the money of building the colonies and morphing to sunkens as well. Is he still going to try and sneak past there? It looks like he was trying to sneak around the sunken colonies to see if he could get into the main to do some damage, but he's not going to be able to. But he just wants to keep these zealots alive now, because as long as they have that upgrade advantage over the Zerglings, that means that he has map control. But here's the thing. The drone is already snuck out to make that 3rd base in another location. So map control, not necessarily a big deal right now. It doesn't really matter if Kingdom has control of the map if there's nothing that Jeju needs to do out on the map right now. So kind of interesting that we have Dragoons as well coming across the map to support. Dragoons are going to be obviously pretty effective at going to work on those sunken colonies. If he makes more, though, he'd have to make 6 or even 9 Dragoons to really make an effective attack, I think. Well, I guess with the Zealots there as well, he would only need a handful. But Jeju making yet another creep colony as well. So he's really just doesn't want to lose to this. I think he's thinking like, okay, I can get my 3rd base up and I can get these mutas out. I just need to survive until then. And the mutas are coming across the map. I actually didn't even see the Spire. I'm sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't notice that the Spire was building, but he's got several Mutalisks popped out and run across the map. Kingdom is making his own expansion base, but that means that his units are kind of off on the side, and these Dragoons are over here next to this cannon. Dragoons are basically the same as mobile cannons, and I'm going to have to lower my voice, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize for that because I was trying to squeeze in a cast. It's kind of late in the evening, but my roommates weren't home yet, and they've just gotten home. I've heard them come home, so I'm going to try not to be too much of a jerk roommate and try not to be too loud here. So I'm going to try and keep casting this game, but I'm going to keep my voice down, so apologies for that. Hopefully it's still audible. But these Mutalisks are roaming around the map trying to find a little in spot where they can get in, where they can actually do some damage. Having a couple cannons and a few Dragoons means that just a handful of Mutalisks are not going to be able to do a ton of work. If he gets like a dozen or something like that, then there'll be a real threat. They can easily take out a couple Dragoons or a couple cannons. So the Kingdom is going to have to be a little bit more careful if that Mutalisk number builds up. But that's the thing. Is he going to build up those Mutalisk numbers? Or is he just using them as a threat in order to maintain advantage? And it looks like we've got 6 or 7 Mutalisks now. So that's interesting. This probe, I don't know what this probe thinks it's doing. I mean, did he think he was going to get a scout past, 6 sunken colonies now? He really doesn't want to die to a sunken bust, does he? He's maybe a little bit overdoing it with the sunkens, to be honest. I definitely think that, you know, in 2020 you would never see that many sunks in that situation. Although the meta right now in 2020, from what I've seen, is to you still kind of get this situation where you get your 3rd base, but it's more of a SimCity game. So you build an extra hatchery in a spot that protects the sunken rather than get more sunkens. And that's kind of the way that we've seen Zergs get more value in 2020 out of their defensive posture. And of course the Protoss would also have gotten their expansion up a lot sooner probably. So that's kind of interesting. Did he have a probe trapped behind the building there and he just killed it with a cannon? I'm not sure if that's what had happened there. Anyway, we do have the probes transferring out there just as the Mutalisks come in to attack the probes. They're going to take out one cannon. They're going to go to work on these Dragoons, but they're going to get surrounded by Dragoons on both sides and the cannons as well. They're going to take a significant amount of fire from these Disruptor Blasts, but they are going to be able to fly south out of the bottom of the map and around across these oily tar pit lakes. Oh, Meatless does get finished off there on the way out. And actually, Jeju getting a 4th base over on the right side of the map. That's really, really intriguing to see that going down. It is in a spot that's going to be very difficult. Now, this thing, these Mutalisks are a big threat. So if he sends, you know, his whole army up to the top right, for example, to kill off that new 4th base, the Mutalisk counterattack is going to be pretty brutal. If he only sends a handful of Zealots up to that top right base to just not overcommit to it, then the Mutalisks can actually just fly up there and kill off the Zealots, right? So it's kind of an interesting thing where because he has these Mutalisks, Jeju can actually get away with that top right base, or mid-right base, I guess, pretty easily here. So it's kind of clever there. And anyway, he's going actually in with a lot of Zerglings along with the Mutalisks. He's going to target down the cannons very quickly. And if he can target down all the Dragoons as well with the Zerglings, then the Mutalisks will be able to reign supreme, but it's just not enough firepower. And it looks like he is going to have to retreat. He didn't lose too many Mutalisks, but he lost all of his Zerglings. Pretty decent idea there, but just didn't work out quite as he wanted to. The Zealots were just too strong, too effective against that. And now Kingdom says, oh, you know what? You don't have any Zerglings. I'm going to come for your face now. He's going to come right across the map. He's got the Zealots are still in good shape. The Dragoons have built up as well. And he has a couple Corsairs, which are going to be really nice. There's not enough Corsairs to battle the Mutalisks alone, but with the Dragoon fire from underneath as well, they are going to be effective. And so he's moving across the map to threaten him. The thing is, there's still like 7 Sunkens there. Yeah, he's making yet another one. So he's pushing that threat in there, making him build another Sunken, making him possibly build more Zerglings instead of drones, and then he's going to have to retreat though, and now the extra base has been found. The drones are going to run away, but the thing is again, what can he do about that base? Jeju also taking the 12 o'clock base, which is really really cool. He's just this is really interesting to see him playing such a broad game across the whole map with multiple bases all over the place. He's already got 3 gases. He wants 4. But he's just really trying to utilize the fact that these Mutalisks are a threat. But again, they're not as much of a threat anymore because some of them have been killed off. The Zerglings have been killed off as well. So can he keep continuing to make use of that threat? There's lurkers in the game now as well. So that is definitely an intriguing addition to this, because now those Zealots who have been had the advantage this whole game over the Zerglings since the very early +1 advantage. Now those Zealots are in trouble because the lurkers are going to be able to do a lot of damage to the Zealots instead. So, but he's already got Dragoons in play. Dragoons, of course, are going to be really good against those lurkers. So, but the thing is, I don't think we have an observatory around anywhere. I don't think he was expecting lurkers, so he hasn't seemed to get anything. And that one Zealot, the one Zealot over on the right side of the map killed off that entire base. So he built that hatchery, built 2 drones. The drones ran away. I think the drones died. And now the base is dead, so not a good investment at all. Pretty significant loss there. Now the bases that he has at 12 o'clock and at 9 o'clock are the ones that are behind the mineral lines, and so they're pretty protected because... excuse me. You ever try and just swallow your own spit and it like gets stuck? Anyway, sorry. Moving on. I don't have any water nearby either. Anyway, so the 12 o'clock and the 9 o'clock expansions are protected because the entirety of Kingdom's army is ground-based. Except for the 2 Corsairs, of course, but the Corsairs cannot kill bases, so that's going to be fine. This is really cool. He's actually putting up a nice little cannon spot there to protect that spot where he just killed it off to make his own new base. There's the shuttle that we needed in order to attack that base. And I think the Mutalisks have actually been winnowed down enough that whatever's in this shuttle is not going to be threatened. He may actually just kill off, or he might even actually ferry a couple loads of shuttle units over the edge and then attack with them. Yeah, there we go. A couple Dragoons is in the first run. Going to load a couple more into the next run. And there we go. And along with those 2 Corsairs, those should be able to dispatch that base actually, because I don't think Jeju has anything to deal with that. No Nidus anymore. He's not building a Nidus over there either. Look at this. He's just building drones. He's like, oh, this base is free. I'll just drone up over here. It'll be fine. Oh, he does have drop. Oh, never mind. Jeju does have response to this. He's got drop. He's going to drop over here with several overlords worth of zerglings and lurkers, and oh, that is a lot of overlords actually. He is definitely going to be able to take care of those dragoons. Can he take care of them in time to actually save that base though? It looks like the drones have either retreated or died, but here's some Corsairs going in, but there's not enough Corsairs to actually kill off the overlords. He's diverted them though. The overlords getting in. Okay, maybe those overlords didn't have anything. And oh, he does actually kill the base. He kills the base in time, and now zealots are running into the main as well. Does he have enough units to stop them here? Is he going to target down the spire? He's going after the zerglings right now. And again, the fact that the mutalisks kind of died for no reason by going into that big attack into the main, and then just kind of dying to random dragoon fire as well during the rest of the match, means that they are not here to clean this up right now. And this is bad news scanted for Jeju right now. He's losing tons of drones to these 4 zealots, despite the fact that one of them had a little dance party there by itself. Is he going to drop some lurkers behind the mineral line though to try and even these up? He's lost several drones. Looks like he's going to finally polish off those zealots, but I just caught myself being a little bit loud again. I'm sorry. I'm going to try and be a little bit quiet so I don't bug my roommates for just a few more days until I go on a nice road trip on my way to the new place I'm moving to. In any case, Kingdom now has taken this side base that was originally belonging to Jeju, and Kingdom is going to need that new base because he's he's lost a couple probes, and he's had to retreat his probes from his main base. So that's slowed down mining a lot, and it's pretty effective actually. Just that one lurker there I guess just Kingdom must have observers by now, right? There's no way he doesn't have observers, right? He's got to have observers, right? Even though I haven't seen a single one. Where's the observers? Okay, oh, I think I just saw one. Okay, yeah, there's the observatory, so he must have them around. Okay. So, I mean, it's almost like the observers are cloaked. I can't see them for something like that. In any case, a moderate army moving out into the middle of the map here. The Zerglings are kind of caught a little bit unawares. They're not going in to fight as a group. Jeju actually is not paying attention to this at all. He needed to retreat that army. Instead, he just lets his Zerglings die piecemeal, and now he's going to let the rest of his Zerglings die piecemeal as well. This is falling apart for Jeju. He's lost these side bases one by one. He's not really been able to get much mining out of them. Now he's losing his army in the middle map as well. Kingdom is taking a commanding lead onto this game, trying to get a 4th base up as well. He's already got the 3rd secured over on the right side of the map. There's not a lot that Jeju can do about that with the nice little bottleneck with the choke point with the gateway in the middle and the cannons behind it, until he maybe gets swarm or mass hydros, I guess, would be pretty effective against that as well, but it would still be tough to squeeze through that choke point right there, especially with the High Templar behind it. Yeah, that is almost... And there's more cannons behind that too. That base is impossible to break for Jeju right now with the amount of forces he has, which is very, very few. He's coming in for a little bit of drop into the main here, though. What's he going to be able to accomplish? There's a lot of cannons here in the main, and he's actually just attacking the gateway, so maybe he needed to drop on top of those cannons instead. He's actually going to pick up his circlings and run away with them. So, not very effective at all. And look at this. He actually... Am I wrong? Am I wrong that there's that you can't get through those without glitching stuff through? Or because how did those zealots get through? Maybe they just were ferried over. But I don't know. Maybe I'm confused. But I thought you had to glitch stuff through the minerals to get to those side bases. But somehow those zealots were there. I mean, you can glitch units through if you like, build a building where they are and then they get stuck or whatever. Sometimes you can do stuff like that, but it's tricky to do. Anyway, he's pushing in for a little bit of attack right into the choke point of the natural expansion of Jeju. Is he actually going to go in there against those 7, maybe more sunken colonies right now? It looks like he's falling back. Okay, that last colony ended up not being a sunken colony. It ended up being a spore colony, which is a pretty good move. You want to have something over to keep the observers from being overhead, so that if they do attack in, your lurkers can be more effective. And it looks like Kingdom is going to just kind of be running across the map instead. Oh, is he going to catch those overlords? Those are full overlords. He had a chance to possibly catch them and do some damage to those overlords. I think he spots it now, but can he actually counter it though? It looks like he's in good shape to potentially counter this, and he's actually going to preemptively ferry some units behind the mineral line because he doesn't want lurkers to be dropped behind the mineral line and do exactly what they did in the main. That's exactly what he's trying for here. But there's an observer overhead. This is going to be dispatched very, very quickly. The Hydra stood there, though, dropping out of the other overlords to protect the lurkers. Can he get that last lurker? He cannot, and he's just ferrying a couple dragoons into their deaths, I guess. But is that going to be able to buy enough time for him to get more units over here? It looks like no, it is not. And so those lurkers are going to be able to salt the gas. It looks like they'd have to move a little bit closer to actually get within range to attack the probes themselves. But just killing off the assimilator will actually be a pretty big deal. In any case, can Jeju pull things back here? He needs to strike more of a blow against Kingdom. He needs to slow Kingdom down, because right now Kingdom is mining off 4 bases. A 4-base Protoss is a scary, scary thing, and now he's killed off that Lurker as well. This is the exact opposite of what Jeju needs right now. Jeju needs to be doing some significant damage to Kingdom. He needs to be taking out these bases. He needs to be taking out probes or something like that. He needs to do something to strike a blow back against him. Now, you know, never underestimate a Doom drop, but we'll see if he can actually accomplish it. He keeps loading up these drops, and they are at least keeping Kingdom kind of on the back foot. They're keeping Kingdom from really feeling secure enough to go out on the map and just start slaughtering everything. I'd be really curious to see what Kingdom's supply count is at right now, because we haven't really got too many shots of his army being that large. And oh wow, that is a huge assault force right there. And that is, there's tons of units inside those Overlords, and it looks like they might be aiming for that top right base. It looks like it's going to go all the way around the top to avoid detection. And then, oh, look, and see, these Corsairs are actually hunting for Overlords, hunting for things that they can pick off. Also doing some scouting. You know, the Corsairs aren't really super effective right now, but he's scouting around to see, okay, is there any tech buildings I need to know about somewhere in the back of his base? And he's got to be scratching his head, being like, okay, wait, what is going on here? Oh, oh no, he stops. He could have dodged that last Scourge, but he didn't, and it ends up landing after all because the Corsair stopped moving. And now here he comes in. He's going to try and take this out. This is exactly what he needs to do. A storm goes down. Is it giving enough? He's got to have a couple more storms in there as well. Is there a Dark Swarm? There's no Defilers, I don't think. So these Zerglings are just going to die. But look at the absolute slaughter. Look at all the blood on the ground. Oh my god, it's absolutely disgusting. A river of blood, a moat of blood protecting that Nexus. It looks like just a lot of Zerg units just being slaughtered as they came out just underneath those storms, basically. But he was able to kill a lot of probes, though. A lot of probes died in the process, and he was able to keep those lurkers behind the cannon line. There's not really a lot of units over there, so he's able to shut down the right side base, but in the meantime, his new inner 12 o'clock base is getting shut down as well. So, tit for double tat, basically. It's I think this is more of a big loss for Jeju, because he's going to lose the hatchery, first of all, whereas the Nexus is still alive for Kingdom. So Kingdom can try and clear up those 2 lurkers and then continue mining at that base. So this is not looking good, but we do see a stream of white units going across the minimap. He's going to try and do a surround here on the army that had just killed his base. Is he going to be able to pick it off? He's coming in with Zerglings from the back to try and pick off the Head Templar, but Zerglings from the front as well to try and pick off the Dragoons. Zerglings and Hydralisks and Lurkers streaming on the side, and Kingdom's army is kind of stretched out in a line. It's not cohesive. It's taking damage from a lot of different angles here, but he is able to regroup. He is able to fight off different parts of it. But does he have enough? I think he's out of storms after that one more storm. He can't have any more storms left in there. There's a pile of blood right there, but the Zerglings are streaming through the fallen remains of their brethren to go in for more of an attack, but this looks like there's just not enough. But he's continuing to stream out yet more Zerglings. If he can polish off this army, he can possibly take more of a map control and start destroying the side bases as well, but it looks like it's just too strong. Protoss units are too beefy, too powerful in their counterattacks as well. These Zerglings are just not able to do it. These are 2-2 upgraded Zerglings, by the way, so they are at significant upgrades. I'm going to see if I can get a check on the Zealots, though, because if the Zealots are 1 ahead, then it doesn't really matter as much how upgraded they are. And yeah, so now those Lurkers have been cleared up. That was a chance, I think. I think that was a chance if Jeju had just had a few more units. In fact, maybe even just the units that died over on the right side of the map. If he'd had those in play at that time to help with that surround, he would have slaughtered Kingdom's army. I don't think it was a bad idea at all. I think it was a good idea to try and kill off that side base, but it ended up failing miserably. And as a result, he didn't have the forces in the middle of the map to actually kill off the main army of Kingdom. And so Kingdom continues to have this lead held. And here we go in. It's another drop going in. The storm's going down on top of the Overlords. All the Overlords dying as well. The Overlords are almost dead. He's going to have to retreat just from the storms on the Overlords. And he just needs to, I mean, it's just not working out. Every time Jeju tries something here, now he's going in with some cracklings, though. He's going to go after these cannons. It looks like he is finally going to take one out. Why did he retreat with the Zerglings? Why? Zerglings, what are you doing? Well, I don't understand why the Zerglings retreated there. They could have taken a few more cannon hits and let the Lurkers do more damage, so a little bit of a strange situation there. This is kind of interesting. Okay, so he's actually mining from the backside, what I would call the backside of that base, so that's kind of interesting. Anyway, that wasn't even a base, though, those cannons were. It was just kind of like a perspective base that he was setting up for. And speaking of perspective bases, Jeju is going to have his perspective base over here at the bottom right of the map, which would have been a nice sneaky base in a weird corner of the map where he wouldn't expect Kingdom to know where it was, but it does get spotted, and he's forced to cancel it. At least he gets to cancel it instead of waiting for it to finish and then it dying. So Jeju looks like he's going to continue trying to be effective with these drops. And the thing is like drops of this kind can be very effective because if you're slowly dropping units out, it spreads them out so that the storms can't be quite as effective, and it also means that the hit points of the Overlord are protecting the Zerglings, right? So you could see them be very, very effective a lot of the time, but it's just not working out for Jeju. There's just been too many storms. His units have not been in the right place. He also hasn't been dropping on top of the cannons. He's been dropping near the cannons and then having his units run in and taking cannon fire. So I think that might be part of why this isn't working. Maybe sometimes he doesn't even know where the cannons are when he goes in. He just knows there's a base there. So, but in any case, Jeju might have one last chance, I think, to try and get back in this game. If he can try and take one last battle here, he still has had 3 or 4 bases mining. So he's been able to keep his macro up. He's been able to keep his unit count up. And if he's been able to tech up as well, if he's been able to get some defilers, I think that might help him as well in this situation. Although plagued Archons are just a funny thing to see. Oh, these Mutalisks, where are they going? Mutalisks are going, barely missing out on flying right over the Archons, which would have slaughtered them. Not sure where those Mutalisks are going, but it looks like a large force is moving down to the bottom right of the map. He's hunting for side expansions right now. There's nothing there. It looks like he's going to go all the way around to try and do a flank attack. And it looks like Kingdom is wise to this. You can see his army kind of coming down to towards the bottom left to protect. And again, Jeju just flying units across the middle of the map, kind of without regard for what they're flying over. Loses a couple Scourge unnecessarily to the ground fire there from the Archons and the Dragoons. So I'm really curious to see what he's going to do. Look at that. There's so many cannons at this base. There is no way with just a handful of Mutalisks he's going to be able to actually do much there. Even with a big drop, he's not going to be able to deal with that many cannons. That is just a ridiculous amount of cannons over there. So that base is a lost cause for Jeju to try and kill off. Oh, he actually gets a Psystorm. Oh, he's going to try and morph some Guardians over here. That's why he wanted the Mutalisk. Defiler tech might have been a better choice. I can't fault him too much for trying to go for the Guardian tech because of the lack of Corsairs. The fact that I now see what he was going for. He wanted to get the Mutalisk over there with the Scourge. The Scourge are there to protect against any random Corsairs, and then the Mutalisk can morph into Guardians, and the Guardians can outrange the cannons, etc. So that's actually a pretty cool strategy that could have worked. Except he saw the Guardians when they were morphing, and it was able to storm the crap out of them before they even finished. And the Scourge were not as numerous as they could have been, and were not able to deal with the Corsairs very effectively. So, but he does have some more Mutalisks coming in here, down to the bottom middle of the map. He's going to try it again. What does he do? He actually cancels? Oh, he sees the Observer, so he cancels in order to kill the Observer, and is he gonna run back and morph again? Yep, he's going to morph again, even though this is not a sneaky attack at all. Kingdom knows this is here, and he has Corsairs to deal with it. So, I mean, unless those are Devourers, he's actually going to... Okay, yep, he's going to be forced to cancel, and 4 Corsairs is going to just devour those Mutalisks, as it were. 5 Corsairs, actually, even, with the +1 Corsair upgrades, by the way. We've seen a late transition into these Corsairs, which is kind of interesting that he's usually Corsairs, again, in 2020 or even 2008, will be an early game unit or mid game unit, and here we see him getting them in the late game, even upgrading the weapons on them. Speaking of late game units, though, we have an Ultralisk Cavern that's just completed recently, and so that could be a really solid unit. Ultralisks are just obviously so beefy. They have tons of armor. Armor is not going to be quite as big of a deal against the Protoss units because the Protoss units do so much damage per hit anyway, but they have so many hit points though that Ultras can go in usually and soak up a lot of damage and soak up storms without really dying and keep on going. And oh, this might be it though. Kingdom has decided he's done playing around. He's done dealing with the side bases. He's going in for the kill. There's a little bit of a counterattack going on, but this is like Kingdom's 5th base. He doesn't need that. Whereas this is the choke point. This is the main rally point of Jeju. But actually, it looks like he might not have enough. they might not have enough. These Corsairs are not able to participate in the battle. They're actually running around hunting overlords, but in the meantime, the defenses of Jeju have held. Defenses of Jeju have held. He's down to just a handful of Dragoons and a couple Templar, and the Zerglings are going to come in and sweep up just to get the stragglers that are the remainder of the battle that are trying to run back to the defensive points. And Jeju might have actually turned things around. That might have been a disastrous move by Kingdom to go in and maybe get a little bit impatient and go in right against all of those sunken colonies, right when a bunch of Ultralisks had come out. He did a really effective job against the ton of Zerglings that were there, but after the Zerglings melted, there were still Ultralisks and Sunkens, and he just didn't quite have the firepower to actually kill off that many hit points of stuff. And then the reinforcing Zerglings of Jeju were able to come in and help out as well. And Jeju even took out one of the bases with his counterattack Zerglings without even having to divert them to that battle. Nice Dark Templar over here going to be really, really annoying. Trying to pick off this new base. They're actually picking off these colonies. The Spore colony is maybe... No, it's not going to finish. 2 Dark Templar are hammering away at it with the +2 weapons. It's going to be way too much. And now he comes in. Oh, and actually the Corsairs come in, kill off the Overlord just too late. Just too late. He got just enough vision to actually kill off those Dark Templar. Otherwise, that would have been pretty bad if he killed off the Overlord and the Dark Templar were able to continue getting more and more kills. And we're trying to scout some of these bases, by the way. And oh, look at this. Jeju actually does have that bottom base, that sort of bottom right area base, and it is now in the crosshairs, though, of of Kingdom. It looks like he's sending his army over there. Although I don't know if there's a land route to that. Is there a land route to that? Yeah. Okay, that's another one of the other mains. Sorry, this is a four main map. And actually, oh, he's trying to fight in the choke point, but that was not the right move. Okay, I think he was going to try to cut off that armor, but instead caught it in the choke point. But he really does not want to fight in that choke point. That is actually the best spot for Kingdom. Well, when I said he doesn't want to fight in that choke point, I was referring to Jeju, who's kind of moving his units out there. Kingdom is the one that wants to fight in that choke point, but now that Jeju has retreated into that pocket, he doesn't really want to go in there. He might have to, though, because that is the best target of a base for him to take out. It's right in the middle of his own territory as well, and there's just a couple colonies here. He's trying to build more. There's a handful of Ultralisks and a bunch of Zerglings here, but this many Archons might be just what it needs to do the trick against this army. The Zerglings are going to absolutely melt. There's only one Sunken colony. Sunks are good against Archons, but when you've got 4 Archons, it's just going to be too much. The Zealots as well. The Zerglings just basically not even there. Not even there, and now the Archons and the Dragoons are going to be able to take out the colonies very easily, and this base is going to go down. Even a storm onto the drones, which is a little bit unnecessary, a little bit of waste of a storm, honestly, because those drones were going to die momentarily to the Archon fire and what have you regardless. Is this a drop? No, this is the Corsairs just saying, you know what? You got nothing to stop me. I'm just going to go around and kill your Overlords. Why not? There's nothing you can do about it. He's got some Overlords parked over near these Spore colonies, but oh no, more Dark Templar coming in here. The good old Sarah DT. You run around, you wipe out the Overlords, and then you go in with the DTs and you kill off everything. And these DTs are going to get some drones. And with that, the loss of the bottom right base, with the loss of his drones there, and just running out of steam, Jeju GG's. And yeah, that's going to do it for that game. That's a pretty cool game. Again, a couple really high level players there, really strong players, but in the end, Kingdom's gonna take it. So kind of a cool little PvZ here. It's just really interesting to notice, like, what's different between 2004 PvZ versus 2010 PvZ versus 2020 PvZ, and the differences and stuff like that. And there's definitely a wider gap between 2004 and 2010 as there is between 2010 and 2020, I would say. But anyway, GG to Kingdom. Well done on his part, taking that game. And yeah, and again, that was part of the MSL. That was the round of 8, I believe. And actually, I probably should have checked to see what the score was, and it looks like Kingdom was up 1-0, so that actually secured him the victory into the round of 4 in the MSL. So good on him. Both these players getting out in the round of 16 in the OSL, but the very next month in the round of in the MSL, able to get into the round of 8, and Kingdom even able to get into the semifinals. So that's cool to see that even though they kind of had just played in one of the most stacked OSLs ever against really, really strong players, and were not able to succeed in the OSL, able to show their stuff and show that they are at the strongest level after all, in the MSL just very shortly thereafter. I think it was in December 16th of 2004 this game was played. So anyway, hope you guys enjoy it. Thanks very much for watching, and again, I'm going to try and put a couple more games up this week, but can't make any promises because I am going to be packing and then traveling, and but like I said, if not, I will be back in a week or so, and I'll be back doing more games. And let me know what kind of games you want to see, and if you don't tell me, then I'll just make up my own games that I want to cast, and that'll be fine too. But I do this for you guys as much as myself, and so let me know what you want to hear and see, and we'll make it happen. Anyways, thanks very much for watching. GG, take care, and happy Thanksgiving.